history starts in 1856, the year in which Don Matias Cousiño, who was a great Chilean businessman, buys 1,000 hectares on the outskirts of Santiago, in the southeast of Santiago. Soon after his death in 1862, his only son, Luis Cousiño, together with his wife, go to France in search for new technologies and new things to bring to Chile. They bring cuts of vines from Bordeaux, from Alsace, and from Burgundy. And this is how they bring these pre-phylloxera cuts of Cabernet Sauvignon, Merlot, Chardonnay, and Sauvignon Gris. They also brought Pinot Noir at that time. They brought Riesling. And along with that they bring winemakers and viticulturists as well. We do have here in the area, here in Macul, Cabernet vineyards that were planted in 1931. The truth is that those from the 30s do their maximum effort to produce what can be produced. They are going to be 100 years old. What we have done throughout history is make massal selections in the vineyard from the original plants. So, a lot of our Cabernet, both the one here and part of that in Pain, comes from that massal selection. The genetic information of our original Cabernet from the 30s and 60s is different from the modern clones. So it's unique to us.
In Maipo's climate, the most characteristic thing is the thermal oscillation that exists between day and night temperatures. You see that in the day it's a tempered climate, with the summer with high temperatures, and at night the temperature cools down a lot, it drops a lot. That's because the cold air that comes from the mountain range refreshes the vineyards overnight.
Right, because these mountains are high and covered in snow, very cold, and that air eventually descends overnight.
Comes down, of course, and that helps a lot in the ripeness of the grapes. I think that's one of the important characteristics of the valley that helps the ripening of the grapes.
Helping Galway prolongs the ripening?
That it refreshes it. So the acidity, for example, is conserved more than in a valley where the nights are hotter. Here there is an acidity and freshness in the wines that comes from this feature.
I guess that the soil will be closely related to the Andes because we are so close. But surely this has come from the mountain. Can you describe it to me?
These soils are a mixture of colluvial and alluvial origin. It is not the typical valley of soil of the Maipo Valley, which is full of rolling stones. Here there are more cornerstones, but if the origin is mixed, it's a loam soil with a percentage of lime. They are deep, well-drained soils that can be perfectly seen in the older vineyards that we'll go to after. The roots are very deep. Look, for us, the largest planting percentage from both fields of the vineyard is Cabernet Sauvignon. More than 50% of our hectares are planted with Cabernet Sauvignon. Then we have a large percentage of Merlot as well, and we also have Syrah, Cabernet Franc, Petit Verdot, and in whites we have Chardonnay, Riesling, and Sauvignon Gris.
Icon wines and the Reservas Especiales are based on Cabernet Sauvignon, right?
Yes, our iconic wines, which would be Loda and Finisteri, are blends. Loda is a blend of Cabernet and Merlot, and Finisteri is a blend of Cabernet, Merlot, and a small percentage of Syrah. And then, in the line of the Antiguas Reservas, which are monovarietal wines, we have one that is 100% Cabernet, another 100% Merlot, another 100% Carmenere, and another that is 100% Chardonnay.
Rosario, we are in an old elaboration room that you no longer use, but that I like it a lot. So I'm going to ask you here about the elaboration of the wines that we will be tasting later, the icons and the others. How do you make them?
You are right. These vats are no longer used. They are vats of Raleigh wood that were used prior to stainless steel. Now we vinify in stainless steel vats of 10,000 liters. What we do is harvesting by hand the Cabernet and Merlot grapes separately in boxes of 10 kilograms, and we immediately bring them to the warehouse. From there is a selection first of the best clusters, then there is a manual selection of the berries. And only the berries that we want go into the vat. All this wine-making process of the icon wines is by gravity. We fill the vat with the grapes, then we leave them cold macerating for a week to extract color and aroma, and after that week, we inoculate with yeasts, then the fermentation starts. The alcoholic fermentation lasts about 10 days with a regime of remontage that we define daily. Then comes a hot post-fermentative maceration that's at a temperature between 20-23 degrees. And after that we take out the wine and we put it in barriques, and the wines remain in new French barriques of 225 and 300 liters, where the malolactic fermentation occurs. The wine takes around 15 to 18 months. After that we bottle it. Well, the icon wines ferment in this winery, the Old Macul winery, here in Santiago, and the Antiguas Reservas wine, we elaborate in the other winery, which is a more modern winery. The process is similar because there is also a manual harvest, but we handle larger quantities of grapes. There is also a selection, a maceration in cold fermentation, and then part of it also go to barriques, but they are used barrels, not new. They are second, third, and fourth use French barriques, and the time that the wine spends in the barrel is less.